You are listening to a free version of the Majority Report with Sam Steeder. To support the show and get another 15 minutes of daily program, go to majority.fm, please.
The Majority Report with Sam Steeder, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Steeder.
It is Friday, October 6, 2017. My name is Sam Steeder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. It's Casual Friday, folks. You know what that means. It means it's Friday and we're casual. And joining us on the program today, Cliff Schechter. From here, he may be in studio, hopefully, if he finds his way over there. Also on the program today, maybe Judy Gold. I don't know. She's being cagey. She thinks she'll be here. Maybe she'll be on.
What percentage are we talking about?
I feel like it could be 95% sure that she's here.
Oh.
Or it could be like 2% chance she's going to be here.
So 60, 50.
I don't know.
Okay.
Meanwhile, when we talk about percentages, for Trump's addled brain, folks, this is the calm before who knows what. Meanwhile, Tillerson is on a knife's edge as Trump set to explode the Iran deal. Chief of Staff John Kelly's cell phone was apparently compromised. Trump nominates a coal lobbyist as EPA's number 2. And the Trump administration is in a full-on assault on the Affordable Care Act. They are going to repeal de facto and replace, maybe. And it turns out Harvey Weinstein is a predatory scumbag. Who knew?
I feel like a lot of people had that sense.
House passes a budget en route to cutting rich people's taxes. And it looks like the Steele dossier is looking even more credible.
Hey, girls.
There's a tape. There's a tape. All I can tell you is there's a tape. All this and more on today's program, ladies and gentlemen. It is Casual Friday. Thank you for joining us. If this is the first time that you've joined us this week, we have won our 5th Best News in Politics Podcast Award at podcastaward.com. And it's prestigious because they have their own website. We didn't win it from podcastaward2.com or theofficialpodcastaward.com. No, podcastaward.com.
The official award.
Which happens to be the official. But I'm just saying their URL doesn't have to play
I understand.
games. It's not like they're
game.
No game
nonsense.
there. So we won our 5th one. I think
the era of the pajama boy is over.
Thought that was coming from me. I thought that was coming from me, and I was like, "Oh my God, is that what?" Oh, that's what it is.
Do you remember the drop you did one time, Matt, when I was promoting voting for the podcast awards for like the umpteenth time, and you did the Bernie like, I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
So thank you to those folks who have voted for that. So last night. I feel like I tell the same story all the time, but I figured something out last night. So when Nikki is away, Saul comes into my room. Well, he comes into our room all the time anyways, but usually I don't have to deal with as much because he's not terribly interested in me. I'm second choice. I'm like a distant second choice. So he comes in, and the thing is, he usually kicks me, or somehow he wants maybe to cuddle with me. And I have figured out now that I can actually switch out a 3/4 length, one of those long pillows for me, and he's happier with it. He can kick it and he can grab onto it. And then what I do is I sneak out of my bed and go sleep on his bed because, frankly, he's got the best best bed in the house. And, of course, it's his Casper. It's an obsessively engineered mattress at a shockingly fair price. Try Casper this is my favorite part about this whole deal, and I think a lot of other companies have started this, but it was so successful for Casper. 100 nights risk-free in your own home. 100 nights sleeping on a mattress. Folks, if you can't figure out what mattress you want to be on just in 60 days, 60 nights, I think you got some deep-seated issues. But 100 nights, my God. If you don't love it, they will pick it up and refund you everything. They have free shipping and returns to U.S. and Canada. They have over 20,000 reviews and an average of 4.8 stars. I don't know why it's not 4.95, frankly. Totally, to be totally honest. I imagine like a 0.1 of that non-4.9 stars as opposed to 4.8 stars is like people going like, I really need like 122 days to determine if I like a mattress. It's quickly becoming the internet's favorite mattress. And so here's the deal they deliver it directly to your door, free of shipping. Free shipping. You get $50 off any mattress purchase by visiting Casper.com/majority and use the offer code majority. That's $50 off any mattress you purchase. They've got all the sizes. I don't think I've enjoyed sleeping on, what do they call the small ones? Twins, right? A twin mattress in the 20 years prior to Saul getting his. I don't know why we got him that one. Oh, he needed it because he was getting out of his crib. That's why.
Because you're a decent parent.
No.
Okay.
Like I say,
I'm glad
it just
at least
worked
you have
out
an
that
honest
way.
self-assessment there. Okay.
Casper.com/majority. Use the offer code majority. You get $50 off. Check it out now. Terms and conditions apply. All right, let's just play. I want to play this clip because this is what everybody's talking about. Well, yeah, let's play the Milo thing, and then we'll play the Trump ominous Trump quote later. But so their big story in BuzzFeed. We're working on getting the reporter of this piece. It's a really important piece that talks about the relationship between Breitbart and essentially their point person. Remember when Bannon said, we are the platform for the alt-right? It's a very important piece which really sort of lays out the nexus between the Milos and the Breitbarts and the self-proclaimed neo-Nazis and white supremacists. And it's a fascinating piece. It also, if you look at the construction of the way that people like Milo kept them sort of at bay in public, or Peter Thiel, the way they keep them at bay in public, you start to understand where folks like Sam Harris and Dave Rubin fit on this spectrum. I'm not saying they're in cahoots with them or they talk to them. I don't know. But you can see where these things are on the spectrum. And, people love to talk about the slippery slope when it comes to like, oh, what if these college kids who are there for 3 or 4 years protest because they don't want so-and-so to come and speak? The slippery slope. I honestly, I don't know where the slippery slope goes from there. But you can definitely see a slippery slope when you start with people who try to intellectualize anti-Muslim bigotry, and they talk about like these things, we need to discuss these things, and how it just sort of slides into this. This piece really sort of examines that. This video that was part of the piece is sort of where, I guess, the slope meets the plateau, right? And that's where Milo, in a bar, I'm not sure where. Is this in Dallas?
He identified it just as a Texas bar,
okay,
as I recall.
I think I see the words Dallas behind it on that thing, but it's a Texas
whatever.
bar.
He's in Texas.
Milo is dressed in casual summer dinner attire, and he is doing karaoke. He's singing, what is it? God Bless America. What? America the Beautiful, right? And to a bar full of his pals, many of whom appear to be neo-Nazis, based upon the neo-Nazi salute they give while he's singing this song. Purple mountains majesty among the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on me, and round my good wind brotherhood from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining sea. He's going to do that twice. He does not want to get off. This is as they're all Zig Heiling. And now here is, and Michael, I hope you send this to Matt too. Milo Yiannopoulos responds to this on the Twitters. And understand Milo has since been sort of, I don't know if excommunicated is the right word. In fact, not really. We can see from this piece that he was fired from Breitbart after some tapes about his perspective on pedophilia came out. But we can also see from that piece that he was walked over by Breitbart people into the Mercer's home, essentially, where he figured out what his next venture was going to be and how they were going to fund it. So here is Milo Yiannopoulos' statement. People know or have seen from my squinting during public speeches. In a dark bar, I did not see these hand gestures. If I had realized white nationalist losers were hailing me as their leader, I'd have immediately walked off stage. Now, the fact of the matter is he probably did walk off stage after he finished his multiple repetitions of the final line of the right? He didn't even, from sea to shining sea, he did it like 3 times as they were hailing him. But now, to be fair to those white nationalist losers, maybe they weren't hailing him as the leader. They were just hailing, the spirit of Hitler. And maybe that's Milo's out there that he knows. Because Milo clearly knew that they were there. It's not like Milo was dropped in on a helicopter. He knew those white nationalist losers were there because they came with them to the bar. But the real issue with them is like, oh, I would have been offended that my known friends who are known neo-Nazis actually saluted me with a Zeke Heil. That's where I draw the line. And then he goes on to write in that tweet, I'd have immediately walked off stage. I stand for, as always, race-blind nationalism. What does that mean? It's the same thing that Bannon was pushing. We're civic nationalists, not race or biological nationalists. That's the way that he tries to separate himself from the neo-Nazis and the supposed white supremacists, or I should say self-proclaimed white supremacists. That's the way they try and delineate it. But that's a pretty thin slice, folks. That's basically, let me tell you why you make that distinction. It's because one is problematic and one is slightly less problematic. And in fact, throughout the piece, you can see where when they're writing pieces at Breitbart, you can see the editors go like, this goes a little bit too far into this territory. Not, oh my God, I didn't know you harbored these horrible racist ideas. You're fired. I can't believe it. I never knew this about you. No, it's like, as your editor, let me suggest that we don't do this because this is a little bit off-brand for us. Okay? And during the piece, you also see Milo, who clearly associates himself with white supremacists, talk about lean on, and others too, Bannon, lean on him being a gay man as being like sort of the get out of jail, get out of being called a racist or whatnot for free card. And Milo delivers on that in this statement. The last lines are, now, if you'll excuse me, I'm enjoying my honeymoon with my black husband. Now, Milo Yiannopoulos, as he's told us so many times before, had a black boyfriend, and now they are married. And look, certainly I don't have to explain the concept to a civic nationalist, if that's what he wants to call himself. The idea of self-hate. Do I? I mean, I can't tell you how many emails or tweets I've got at me like I'm a self-hating Jew or a self-hating white because I'm a traitor to my race. I don't know what goes through Milo's mind. I do know that he may be married to or he is married to a black husband. I think we can find records in the history of like racists who have involved themselves with black people sexually, right? Strom Thurmond.
Right.
I mean, it's not like this doesn't happen.
Well, it's not even like even more deeply to the whole.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care what's in Milo's heart. When I say he is a racist, white supremacist, neo-Nazi, it's because of his behavior and who he promotes in society and what his envision for society is. Not who he decides to marry or have sex with and then exploit to try and justify. I mean, some of my best friends are neo-Nazis, so I'm not coming out against neo-Nazis. I mean, honestly, right? That's the construct. Some of my best friends are black. In fact, my husband is black and I'm gay. Where have I heard the idea of someone, of a gay man being married, using that as some type of defense against being a right-winger? All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Cliff Schechter will be in studio. We are back. Sam Cedar on the Majority Report. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Casual Friday. But sometimes to be casual, you have to be formal. And then what happens is you go through form and you pass through function, and then you get to this.
Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC. New media, public relations, and strategy. You want any of these services, you know who you gotta see. Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC.com.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Cliff Schecter. And not a normal Cliff Schecter, but an in-studio Cliff Schecter.
That's right. And
You gotta...
Can you hear me?
He's not connected to this button, is he?
Oh, hold on. Matt forgot to...
Matt, I
You
think we
gotta
all
put
knew
up-
that this day would come where you would have a massive screw up.
Okay, talk right into the microphone.
Here you go.
Hello there.
No, what's going on? No.
Try
Line
it
11.
now. Try it now.
Hello there.
No.
You just make like 4-letter word gesture.
I don't know what happened. It's difficult.
Just plug his into the other input.
Let me translate
Not
for
12
Cliff.
into the Kelly's input. Old Kelly's
Republicans are
How
stupid.
did you,
Republicans are dumb. Guns are bad.
I do Sam's version of the translation for the audibly impaired from Spin City, but I don't think that's PC anymore.
input. It's not getting through. Is that cable
That
bad?
was funny. Go.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
He's good?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You missed my joke about you.
All right, you got to will
What
you
do I got to do?
put the microphone so that you can actually there you go. Talk into
Have
the
to
mic.
basically eat it?
Yeah, there you go.
Sweet.
Make love
Okay.
to the mic.
Cliffy, welcome to in studio.
Thank you. It's always great to be here. I think it's been a couple months. And this time, for your guys' benefit, I didn't bring my family.
Oh, well,
So-
it's always a pleasure to
You
have
have to
your
be like,
family here.
Mrs. Schechter, you can sit down now and stop checking out everything and pricing it in the studio.
There was a lot of
That's a lot of equipment.
we
You know,
had
I have a
to
Jewish mother. She'll stand up and check stuff out. Wow, how did you guys pull this all together?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good question.
Look in the
actually.
corner there, 1995. Excellent.
Sam
Did
loves
notice
that.
some
Sam-
of your children tried to come out of here with some cables and
That's
stuff.
right.
Like
My
I,
children tried to steal
I
things, which I
presume-
teach them to do.
I presume to set up unprecedented
That's right.
your own podcast. I have
That's
a
right,
feeling
folks.
there's
They
probably a
stole
lot
them
of
from here to set up Unprecedented, the
There you go.
podcast.
You do
where
that?
you must go sign up at iTunes, www.unprecedentedpodcast.com.
You use
That's
your
a good
kid,
idea.
if you actually use your kids to literally steal equipment from here to set up the podcast, that would be amazing.
Well, I just
marketing.
teach them.
that
because-
would actually be how this podcast was born.
Right.
From
Air
equipment
America.
from Air America.
That's the reason
that
they
I-
were in
from
so much.
stealing Air America equipment.
Not
Well,
stealing.
They were in so much financial troubles, I remember, just because you were sort of carting out some of the materials, from,
I'll tell you what did happen.
including Mark Green's razor.
I was sent up to North. Right, exactly. I was sent north.
I don't
I was
know
doing
that
my
story.
show up in Hudson, New York, for a year or so. And when we switched owners for the fifth or sixth time, I went down to the tech guys and I was like, do you need that 360 back? I mean, I had a couple of things. Maybe I had like a boom. Maybe I
Right.
had a couple of mics. Not that much, but I had some that was theirs. Some was mine. And I said, you need that stuff back? And the guys just looked at me like, dude, nobody has a clue what's going on here. If you bring that stuff back, it's just going to be a pain in my butt.
That's right.
And I was like, great.
I know. Did they have like any furniture or vehicles you could take?
I and then the best part was I won a lottery. They did a raffle for a massive TV, like not a flat screen. You know, it was back in the day when it was like one of the big ones, but it
Right.
was huge.
It had the big back to
I
to it.
came
Back then
in,
They weren't flat. They were just
I
like-
won it. I was so psyched because I
So
didn't
you
have
pulled
it too.
like I like to keep the story alive. You pulled a Mike Huckabee in the governor's mansion in Arkansas.
Indeed.
where you just everything that was not actually nailed to the floor, he apparently carried out.
I tried. They still managed to go out of business owing me literally $30,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice. And I'm sure you were one of many, I'm guessing, right?
I
horrible.
imagine, yeah. I
Wow.
imagine. But I was not, I never made it to the creditors thing because the guy, they were going to get sued by AFTRA, and then they just kept sort of stringing out, and then they just pulled the plug, and then it was too late. But whatever, it doesn't
Well,
matter. That was
Thanks
years
a
and
lot,
years ago.
Mark Green.
Thanks, Mark. No, Mark Green was.
Oh, that wasn't his fault.
no,
Okay.
Mark Green was later.
No, just
Can
every,
I just say,
every
really, I
election.
knew how much you hated Mark Green when I said, who would you vote for, Mike Bloomberg or Mark Green? And you actually were like,
I'd move out of the city.
Or you
that
could,
was
you could just
extraordinary.
not vote. I mean,
Yeah, no, I would move
That's
out
an
of the
option.
city in that situation if I had to be. Okay, so let's get to this, Cliff. You saw the video we just played of Milo Yiannopoulos
Yeah.
swooning. Now, unfortunately
He's
for
gotta work
him,
a little bit on
of
his
course,
goose step, though.
He
He's not-
he doesn't know that there are things like called contact lenses that exist or glasses, and so he had no idea that the white supremacists he came into the establishment with were still there and that they were Sieg heiling him. Otherwise, he would have stormed off that stage. I can tell you right now because he's married to a black man. And but what's fascinating is you can see there's so much in that piece, and we're gonna talk about it
You really have
with
to.
the report, but you can see there's so much in there about how the right exists and grows. I mean, this is, we finally gotten to really the sort of the end game, as the sort of like the zeitgeist of the conservative movement has sort of moved into where like there's not even the shame or, that.
Yeah.
Or they're they've moved past having to be ashamed.
Right.
They're
Well,
just on the verge.
You know what happens the first time you have one of those guys on your show. So somebody points out, hey, Sean Hannity had somebody on who had neo-Nazi ties. And they just sort of laugh it off and like, oh, well, that was a couple years ago and he was drunk. And, when you're drunk, you can't always make out the goose step. And you know what I mean? And then as it goes on, this is the way we always talk about this stuff, the sort of frog and the boiling in the pot thing, which is a terrible metaphor. But by the way, in any case, and it happens slowly, and then they associate a little bit more with neo-Nazis and a little bit more, and before you know it, it's sort of an intermingling, and you don't really know who is who. I can't think of his first name, but he's a nut himself, and I think kind of knows that. Representative Massey from Kentucky, who came out and said, when they kept voting for me and Rand, meaning Rand Paul, I thought that the party was heading libertarian. But I realized after a while they were just voting for the craziest bastard in the primary, and the libertarians happened to be the ones here. But if there'd been somebody who had been Nazified, I'm now adding my 2 cents to it. He didn't say that. So that's been happening for a long time, which is they're looking for somebody who has the most wacky, sort of crazy ideas that assaults the right groups on the left that they don't like, or really not the left of society.
And I remember 10 years ago, probably now, talking about Roy Moore. And I distinctly remember, because at that time, the left was more cohesive in a lot of respects. And but I was on email lists and in conversations and just saw writing of like more, I don't want to say establishment, but more sort of like professional left press. And
Right.
they would mock the idea of like picking out this state legislator from Iowa who said this crazy thing, or that judge from Alabama who said that crazy thing. And the thing is that not only were they wrong in why that was important to do, and we see this like with like what like the Southern Poverty Law Center does,
Right.
where they track these things. But B, it also gives a very clear picture. I mean, these are, the idea that Roy Moore, now it's possible Doug Jones could win. If there's ever been an opportunity to steal a seat in Alabama, this would be it.
Yeah.
But Roy Moore, the fact that he's this close and could very well be, if you had to
let's
bet.
be honest, he is the favorite in that race. I think Doug
The fact
Jones
that
could
this
win,
guy
but-
is going to sit in as a senator, and frankly, even like a guy like Mike Pence is, you know, an indictment away from the presidency.
Yeah. The guy who's the head of the precursor to this crazy Freedom Caucus, the Conservative Study Committee, which was then considered by, and you can dig up quotes at the time from mainstream members of the Republican Party and from certainly from more moderate members, that this was considered the crazy group. These were the crazies.
He was a right-wing talk radio show host.
That's right. That's where he got his
And
start.
The American Restoration Act was a bill that, let's see, this was the American Sovereignty. No, this is, I'm sorry, there's
There's
they've
so
had
many
multiple
that have
of these.
ridiculous names. And
The American Restoration Act, I think it was called, was written by Judge Moore with one other guy. And here it is. It was written by Roy Moore. It was the Constitutional, Restoration Act. And it was in 2005. And this is a piece.
we're trying to restore religion to the Constitution because that's how it was originally meant.
It is described as a bill, quote, to limit the jurisdiction of federal courts in certain cases and promote federalism. The legislation seeks to make it possible for Congress to remove any judge who refuses to acknowledge that the basis for all law, liberty, and government is God. And
Exactly
that
how
was written,
Thomas Jefferson wrote it.
That was what Matt was saying the other day.
It was, according to Liberty Magazine, designed to reverse nearly 140 years of legal actions to the states whereby religious fundamentalists can have more control over the outcome of decisions. Okay? This was Roy Moore and a guy named Herb Titus, who was the vice presidential nominee of an openly theocratic U.S. Constitution Party.
Oh, yes.
And
You're familiar with that party specifically, right?
the U.S. I think there was actually a version.
What was
They
the
are
name
like-
of the right-wing nut who was their longtime nominee for many years? They would nominate him for president. He was part of the original sort of, when we trace the origins of the right.
I forget his
Damn
name,
it.
but
Not
that,
LaRouche. No,
Not-
different guy.
Not LaRouche. I can't
No,
remember.
Lyndon LaRouche had a cult, but I'm just saying I remember I read about that party a bit, and there are valid comparisons you can make to certain politics in the Middle East, but that was certainly with Republicans,
and
but
fascist
that
parties in
and
Europe.
fascist,
I mean, they're-
certainly fascist parties in Europe, but
Yeah.
that one was like, I mean, that was just the direct analog.
It's driving
There
me
was
crazy
no
'cause-
distinction.
Because I remember, all this work I did when I was working on a PhD, I eventually, of course, never wrote a dissertation for, because that's how I like to use my time. One of the guys who was in the rise of the right, when you trace it back and you start with sort of the National Review in the mid-'50s, and you even go through the American Enterprise Institute in the 50s, and they start funding Coors, get involved, whatever. This guy, and he's driving me nuts, and I could look it up, but he was a constant nominee and on the Constitution Party. So they've been a part of this sort of nexus for a long time.
Mike Pence was one of the bill's, one of the initial sponsors of this bill, including Brownback, Zell Miller, Richard Shelby, Lindsey Graham.
There we are, Howard Phillips.
And
Thank you.
this is 10, 12 years ago. And so, this is where these are where these things lead to.
Yeah.
There's, the thing is on the right, maybe this will exist on the left, and we'll see it. We'll have a better sense of this 10, 15 years down the road. But the right is very good at piloting programs and then scaling them.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the apparatus to do it. That's what ALEC is all about. They have other apparatus to do it. And
They have a lot of apparati.
yes, and they have a lot of money.
Right. Well,
And
their
that
people,
money
their
is-
people invest in the long term. Not going to go on a rant. Just going to say, their people don't invest cycle to cycle. They've been, Heritage was set. In fact, if you want to look at it, Heritage 1973. You brought up ALEC 1973. There was a period of time. The 50s were one of them, and then there was this period of time in the early to mid 70s. You find it a little bit later in the 70s. Moral Majority, I think, was 77. NRA takeover by the far-right nuts, 1977. Again, you see a lot of this stuff happening and this was all being funded by people like the Coors family and the earlier generation of
Skates,
Kochs And I mean, again, this has been a long. So, and what the real problem becomes is, look, we have our fun on this show. We mock these people, and they should be mocked because they're crazy. And it's helped us win Senate seats in the short term, for example, and House seats and others. But people often brought up, when what's her name, the self-proclaimed witch, ran in Delaware, and some of these candidates, Todd Akin, we beat them, but they were the right. The other thing the right's really good at, they do it culturally with Fox News and other things, but they do it with their candidates, is they move the Overton window. So one minute you're saying, Roy Moore, that guy's nuts, and he's completely unacceptable. Within 10 years, he actually fits into the Republican Party. Even if he's to the right of it, he fits in.
Do you guys think, the witch woman would have lost regardless because she's running in Delaware, and that's, more of a Democratic state and really a kind of extinct Republican's the only kind of Republican that could win there. But do you think in today's environment an Akin would lose in Missouri, even with those comments?
I'm not sure he would in Missouri. Again, the states do matter because if you want to jump in, but I'll say quickly, we're talking about Alabama right now. But let's remember, Mike Lee, who is probably just about the most far right-wing member of the Senate caucus there, knocked out a more moderate Pat Roberts, right? What was that?
No, William Bennett. Or
Bill, I'm sorry, not Pat Roberts.
Something
that was,
Bennett.
Yeah, and that was in what, 12, 14?
Yep. 12, and that guy was
and Ted Cruz
ultra right-wing.
Right.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz ran against the sitting, I think, was it the LG at the time, who was very right-wing and got to the right of him. So what's been happening really for the last couple election cycles is in states where they said something so out of bounds, that happened in Indiana too, where we won that seat after they knocked off Dick Lugar with, what was his name, Murdoch, the treasurer.
Murdoch, yep.
So when they said things that were so far out of bounds, even in states that you would call purplish, red, we were still able to win. And in purplish blue, like Delaware, we carried the day. But in the red states, they've increasingly been stockpiling these loons on the right.
And
because we can't beat them.
Trump doesn't do this much, but I could see Trump easily making those kind of grotesque statements about rape. Like, hey, when it's rape, you don't have to have an abortion because it shuts it down. That would have been an applause line at one of his rallies.
So that's exactly the kind of thing he would just say because it popped into his head or somebody told him the moment before he stepped on stage. Yeah.
But there's an interesting study, a Pew Research study that shows that Democrats are moving quickly to the left. Like, we're getting more polarized. Now, I think that it is, I think what this doesn't track is that if you look over the past 20 years, 30 years, you also have the Democrats tracking to the right. Like, it's not like the Republicans have, the Republicans have moved to the right dramatically, but let me put it this way. They're not coming from a baseline that had been moved to the left.
That's right.
So if you were to look at a graph of where Democrats have come, I would imagine the rate in which they have moved over the past 20 years, let's call it 25 years, just so we get early 90s, is probably at a rate perhaps that looks faster than Republicans, but that's because their baseline was to the right.
That's right.
Of where Democrats have traditionally been. The Democrats took not a hard turn to the right, but certainly a turn to the right in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
The DLC period, there's no doubt.
That was the culmination.
On economics and farm. Right, there were earlier groups too. The policy group, I don't remember, the one that...
But Jimmy Carter was also, on some issues.
On economic issues, he had moved somewhat,
yes.
Didn't he deregulated trucking, I believe, and some
airlines.
Yeah,
and would not get behind universal health care. My understanding, that's why Ted Kennedy challenged him.
Democrats moved away from broad, progressive economic programs to more good government kind of programs. And I'm not saying the good government stuff is bad, but campaign finance reform sort of took the place of, hey, we need this new social program like universal health care, or we need, and then smaller bore things like let's raise the minimum wage. So the Democratic Party absolutely on the economic front moved to the right and now has been moving steadily back to the left. But it's, so that's a great point. The Republicans, I think you could even argue slowly during the 20th century moved slowly to the right, but there still were a ton of moderates in the 70s and 80s in that party. Ton of Hatfields and John Chafees and people like that who were reasonable Republicans. And it really was in the post-Reagan period it sort of started in some ways, and then after Newt Gingrich in '94, it just blew up and went, because that's when the Republicans really gained a bigger foothold in the South, and that's where a lot of this originally was coming from. And so you can, and I would make one more argument that I think is hugely important here, which is the Democrats moving to the left are actually filling a void that was out there, which is they've come closer often on economic issues to embracing policies the majority of the population is for. We just didn't know that because everybody's like, you need to pick David Brooks's position or Roy Moore's position on economics. You didn't have like this, you didn't have sort of the left position out there. And we all know if you look at polls on a lot of these issues, antitrust issues, minimum wage, all these things in red states, when they put them on the ballot or when they poll them, they poll incredibly well. So, that's the thing is the Democrats are moving in a direction we're calling for, whereas the Republicans are more through their entertainment complex and other ways are purposely sort of, let's say, bringing out the worst in people.
Well, they're
pandering to the worst.
Well, they're catering to a smaller group of people who, in some respects, are more fanatical. I mean, that's and this comes into obviously the situation with guns. I think, and you and I have obviously we have crossed this terrain so many times.
But guns are a perfect issue that stands in for that kind of nuttiness that's been going on overall.
Yes, because
but on the business interest part, that leverages the nuttiness.
Well, yes.
That's right.
But yes, but in terms of how it plays out electorally, you have an ever increasingly smaller group of people who are increasingly more intense.
That's right.
About that. So, and it's manifested in so we have. We've gone from 70% of Americans to owning a gun to 30% of. You would know the numbers.
We went from 50 in the 70s. We're now down barely at 30%.
Okay, so, but that 30% owns 5 times more guns.
Right.
Than
so half the guns in this country right now are owned by 3% of the country. Think about that for a second.
But it is an example of a couple of things. One is that. You don't need all the people. You don't even need half the people.
Yeah.
You just need a portion of the people who are willing to throw themselves in front of a bus.
That's right.
For a specific issue. And it also, and with the backing of obviously a huge industry that's making a lot of money that gives you the air cover. But if it weren't for those people.
Yeah.
Now, you may need a lot of money to get those people because you need to create a broader context in the culture where it's like...
You have to make them identify with it so closely, which is, again, that's why I would say some of it where people were already there, but they've been losing people faster than they've been gaining them. But also, you hear these stories, and this woman, again, I've brought this up before, and I don't know why I haven't put this great documentary together. It was all on how, was it Rush Limbaugh or Fox News had turned her JFK supporting parents into.
Yes.
So they prey on older, whiter, more rural members of the of this country who in the past often were Democrats, and even if today they're not fully Democrats and socially they're a little bit conservative, they turn them into lunatics. They pander to their worst fears. If you want to get intensity on your side, what's the best way to do it? Scare them that their universe is coming to an end. Or that the black president's going to come knock their door down, take away their guns, marry their daughter. This is the kind of stuff that that they put out there in the swamps.
You see, there was a really good piece I talked about the other day about NRA TV.
With Dana Loesch and that type of stuff?
It's even, Dana Loesch, but they're going even, maybe in some ways even more overt than Breitbart. And... The sort of two takeaways from the article that echo what you're saying that were relevant was one that the NRA and their branding has always been very astute. It's always tracked different national fads. So going back to Great Outdoors and the hunting culture and to appreciate nature. And then there was the Panic in the Suburbs about urban crime. And now it's it's all just basically about, these demographics that just are going away, basically. And that, just like the Republicans, they didn't there's a very specific reason, obviously, why they didn't come out and say, hey, Philando Castile, when he was murdered by this cop, was a law-abiding gun owner, and we stand with him.
Right.
They're never going to do anything like that. They're making but it's a parallel to the Republican Party. It's a direct. Well,
I don't know. It's even necessarily a parallel.
It's the same thing,
almost
right?
Like there's
now it's a strategy.
There's a tremendous amount of overlap, and it's also look, it is. You can see it if you broaden even the perspective. Never mind NRA TV, but I would not be shocked to find that some of the gold sellers are also sort of associated because
the gold bugs on the
yes, because you create an entire worldview that is like
abortion fits well into it.
You need because that is the you just create various representations of the apocalypse.
That's right.
That is coming.
And shoot up people's cortisol levels, just like that research from Michigan we were talking about. And then you get them in a stress cycle which breeds more fear and irrationality. It's true.
I mean, it's...
But the thing that's so, and we've talked about this before, the thing that's so disturbing about it is that, we do talk about here, demographics are on our side, which they are, I'd say overall, certainly. But what they've been able to do is with that intensity, so people are definitely going to turn out and vote. But on top of voting, they're going to intimidate people on the other side, right? They're willing to use violence. They're willing to use threats. So
they're also willing to get rid of voting rights, right?
Well,
more
that's
overtly,
a big part
right?
of it,
like,
too.
That's a big part of
so
it, right?
they've found a way to have this intense minority, if we had, and still win elections. Because the truth is, if they were being slaughtered in all these elections, if they had lost this presidential election, for example, the way, and we had a Democrat there and they'd lost the House or whatever, but they have found a way that even with appealing to this far right small base and a little bit of a bigger base in their electoral strategy, they have found a way to basically win all levers of government through using every trick in the original Constitution and inventing a couple new tricks.
Oral arguments this week in Gill v. Whitford are based upon the fact that in Wisconsin in 2012, the map that drew up allowed Republicans to win 48.5% of the vote and take 60 out of 99 seats in their state Senate. So
ridiculous.
They lost the majority of votes.
Right.
And won 2/3 of the seats.
Right.
And
that's just the worst example. This is in all of these states where I live in Ohio. They've done the same thing there. And I mean, they're representative of, at best, the last election, again, I'd have to look. I mean, they suppressed so many votes in Ohio. You add that in with a little Kremlin stuff, and you add that in with Comey's letter and whatever, and you start wondering, if it was basically a regular election in Ohio, which is won by a couple of points in each direction, because that's normally the way it is. We do keep electing Sherrod Brown and other people. And yet, out of a 99-member state house, they have something like 65 members right now. It's not even close to representative, and they've done this. So again, the problem with this strategy for all of us is because of the anti-majoritarian nature of our Constitution to begin with, but then some of the levers they've pulled shamelessly that they wouldn't pull in the past, everything from filibusters to gerrymandering, and this stuff was done, but not to this level.
Well, the gerrymandering, frankly, is just a function of we now have technology that you can... there's gerrymandering and then there's gerrymandering.
Right.
And we now have the technology where you can do it down to, you can predict the voting of the people at, 36, Maple Lane.
Right.
And we're going to have, those people are going to be in this district and the other people are going to be in another district, and that's it.
And that's the problem, because it hasn't dissuaded them from engaging in this sort of overt Nazistic type politics, because they're still winning. The thing that would dissuade them would be if that kind of stuff were costing them the presidency and costing them the way it did in 12 or 10, some of those Senate seats. If they were constantly losing Senate seats.
Even if it was, wouldn't they still, that's still how they have their House majority. Like, I think even if they were I think it's even harder than that.
I don't think, frankly, I don't think this ends with they making a decision that we've got to go in a different direction. In fact, I think that has been...
Wouldn't they alienate their core, basically?
Well, I just think that assumption, right, where we saw it with Obama over the years, like the fever's going to break, they're going to figure out what's going wrong. I think that flies in the face of human nature. I don't think, first of all, I don't think there's a they. Like, I don't think there's anybody steering the ship. I think there are a lot of people with somewhat aligned interests that fund money into these endeavors.
Right.
And they...
but that's the key pressure point, because you may never change Milo. Who cares, right? But the Koch brothers, if this strategy was leading to Democratic presidents, Democratic senators, to the point where you don't even need the House, you're putting on judges on the courts who are able to hurt their oil interests, I think they'd stop funding it. I could be wrong.
I think
I'm not talking about a
maybe
fee.
the Koch brothers' kids...
I mean,
Might-
maybe. I'm
maybe.
just
And
saying,
maybe, and also now when you think about the Mercers, if you really want to take it down to that personality level, like
Right.
I think the Mercers are not.
They may just be
like
fascists
The
who don't
Kochs, yeah, the Kochs might just. They seem like they're pure, just
They
you
have
know, gobble up
economic
money.
interests, right.
That's it, and maybe they ignore. They
Well, I
find
don't
some
think
of the
that's
Nazis.
true. I think they
But I
are
don't
also
think they care.
ideologues too.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
No,
but they're
they're-
ideologues, but their ideology is libertarianism because it mixes nicely with making lots of money.
But I don't think libertarians have a problem with Nazis at all, which has been pretty historically documented. And I
Well-
think in the Mercer's case, I think like these are people that we could actually might like find
Yeah,
the
I just don't
uniforms in
think-
their
I think
house.
it's just gonna
Like,
be-
they are that.
I just
They
think-
just have money.
Right. And
I think
there's-
what's going to happen is if, let's say when, just give everybody some hope on this Friday, when they are defeated, like when the forces of
Here,
the
Vancouver's nice this
center
time of
left to the left take control of the levers of power, you know,
Was that in a
mostly,
Jefferson's episode?
Mostly,
Sorry.
I think they're just going to continue to do what they're doing, and fight every. We're certainly not. No one talking now is going to be alive when they shift tactics,
Well-
shift strategy.
My point was, I just want to be clear because I'm not saying the fever is going to break. To me, that was naivete of Obama, who took a look and said, well, maybe a couple things will happen here. We'll win a couple elections, the fever will break, or I'll meet with them. My point is only on the side of the financial interests, if it's people who really do care about their bottom line. If it's costing them money, if they're losing enough elections
Dude.
big enough, then maybe
Dude.
they stop funding.
Listen, the Koch brothers don't threaten to stop funding because they think this is costing them money. They don't give a shit. This I'm convinced half of the stuff that we see is not a function of like I have interests in this and this and that. It's I'm a billionaire. I live in a bubble that I think none of us can imagine. And
I got bumped up to first class once.
I have this money that's on my dresser that I've collected for the last 3 months every time I empty the change out of my pockets. And I'm going to give this to that dude and say, do it. Get it done. Why? Because I want it.
Because I'm a billionaire, see? How much money does it take to take away some
Honestly, I
goddamn
think
Puerto
like-
Rican kids' health insurance?
I think like
I'm a
we
billion-
try and impose our mode of thinking and our rationality on people who are living such a rarefied experience that it's almost as if we're trying to sort of get into the mind of like a talking dog.
You're basically saying it's
Like,
like
honestly,
it's
like-
like the. All right, I don't know about the talking dog.
I know,
part,
no. I honestly
but
think that like the idea of having people who are this powerful.
No, but you're saying it's like the analogy that I'm drawing would be like instead of thinking of it as, this bet isn't playing off, we need to recalibrate. It's almost more analogous to like I just spent like $1 million on a stallion, and the stallion lost the race. I'm angry. I'm gonna go shoot it in the head. Because
Well,
that
yeah,
just
and then
pissed
I'm
me
gonna
off,
buy
and
another
it doesn't make any difference
That's
to
different.
me.
That
No,
Right, like
right.
that's the mentality you're describing.
well,
It's like
saying-
people going to to
That I might
gamble and
agree
being
with.
like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I lose this $100,000. I'm pissed about it, but I have $1 billion.
Well, no,
or
it
$2
matters
billion.
because I'm pissed.
Yes,
Right.
And
exactly.
because it embarrasses me that I did this.
Right.
But is no function, because that's the other end of this equation too, right? Is that there's an endless, like, mid-level, who was the family that owned the Chicago Cubs?
What's their names?
They're another awful
They have the
family.
governor. Yeah, the governor of Nebraska is from that family.
And years ago, I wish I could remember their name, but years ago, there was like a story, I think in 2012 or maybe even before 2012, and it was like they're going to fund the PAC campaign.
The Ricketts.
The
Thank
Ricketts.
you.
They're going to fund the PAC campaign that is going to do it to Obama what the Republicans couldn't do in 08. And it's going to be horrible.
Bill Ayers.
Exactly.
And this.
It was exactly.
Yeah, it was in
literally.
I remember.
And you read it and you realize you're like, these consultants are fucking brilliant because they are totally hustling these
Was
old
it Rick Wilson?
bigot morons.
Was it Rick Wilson who's now
I think it was
is one of
Rick
the ones
Wilson.
pitching that to them?
I think it was Rick
which is
Wilson.
funny because he's so anti-Trump.
But
Right,
it's also
but
not
I'm
even
just
like
saying, like,
they're
it's a whole
pitching it.
ecosystem.
They're at a dinner party.
no, but
and
this
they
was a big
say-
document that
Right.
got
Well,
released.
got
but
released.
this is the way it starts.
And it was all the same stuff that had already happened, so they can get hustled
They're
easily,
going
too.
like, I really think that the problem is the Republicans didn't push Bill Ayers enough, and then somebody across the room is going like, "You're absolutely right. In fact, I have a document. It's going to take me. I got to get back to my hotel and have it sent." They get there and they just furiously type it out,
Right.
send it in. That's where the money comes from. But these guys, honestly, this is. Mortimer and what's his face and trading places. They're
Randolph.
just making a
Randolph.
They're making a bet, and they're emotionally invested in it. But it's like $1 to them. It's like $1. It
I
just
bet
happens to be
you that
my
Valentine could run securities, Mortimer.
No, see, but my
Like
point is,
Randolph.
I don't think they care about the bet because you're right. The bet for them is like $1. I'm saying if the long-term effect was they were losing billions by doing this, then I do think it would
But
change.
there
their behavior.
is no way that those people are going to lose their billions.
Well, it would have to be from Democrats winning enough to put judges on courts that regulated the living. I can say it right. Shit out of like.
I
Or
can tell you
actual
something.
Democrats,
Listen,
though. That's
yeah.
the
I
next
can tell you
part of the
something.
equation.
Bill Gates, Koch brothers. You can go down the list of all those billionaires. They're going to be billionaires. Their kids are going to be billionaires. Maybe their grandkids will go on a total binge and buy too many fur sinks and they won't be billionaires. But there's nothing.
fur sinks?
Yes, there's nothing.
Is that a new thing?
No, that's what Steve Martin said when he got really wealthy. He was trying to find
I didn't know
ways
that
to
one.
burn
Fur
his
sinks?
cash.
That's kind of nice.
They're
probably comfortable in
going
the arms
to.
when you're
They're
working
not
out.
going to lose their money. They can't. Do you understand? Like they can't lose their money. Honestly, the only thing that would happen is like if maybe if Michael gets to be president,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
and he has enough people around him. Although I'm not convinced that Michael wouldn't be like, "Whoa, wait a second."
I think it's time to rethink the estate tax.
Socialist, socialist.
Wait a second.
But
there's
it
a lot of
says,
new
like,
ideas of being exposed to.
confiscatory, tax on
taxes do
wealth,
pay for
on
themselves.
existing wealth.
Tax cuts.
They're not going. There's no way you can be aware that you can live your life in such a way that you can be aware if you have $65 billion that you've lost $30 billion. You can't even. There's no way unless someone comes and tells you, and you look at the numbers. There is nothing that you are doing in your life.
No, I agree, but I think they have people that do come and tell them these things.
Well, that's true.
That would piss the hell
That's
out
true.
of them if that was true. But
I'm
there's
saying-
no policy
their
on the
response
table
wouldn't
now,
be like,
even under Bernie
"Oh,
Sanders, that
we
would
shouldn't-
jeopardize that level.
We shouldn't support right wingers to do this. No, there is no answer for them.
Yeah.
We gotta clamp down on the budget. We can't try to destroy the poor and the middle class anymore. We might lose some of our jets,
What's
eh?
the solution to them getting more billions of dollars back at that point? Like, the only reason why they have it is because of this system. There is no change in strategy where it's like, we're going to continue to enrich ourselves by, supporting Medicare for all. I mean, it's
No, I know. I mean,
I guess
that's my
we'll
point. Is
fold our
that's why it would have to be that what they were doing was backfiring in such a way that it was hurting their financial interests. I mean, they were seeing it in front of them, right? In the way during the New Deal, there were people on the right whose funders whose hatred, of course, grew of FDR, but some of them walked away from politics because of what was going on. They would have to be so motivated in saying, like, this is all backfiring. Let's just go to our own fucking
But wasn't
island
that also 'cause the
and
left
spend
was
all of
so
our money and
strong?
enjoy our lives.
but I
Wasn't
would
that because
say-
the left was so strong, though, that they also had a perception that FDR what
FDR stood in
Obama-
and said, like,
Yeah.
I'm between you and the pitchforks. Yes.
That type of thing.
Okay. But here's what I'm saying, is that I'm saying that, A, because of the type of wealth we're talking about, there has been nothing analogous to the idea of 10 families or 20 families having this amount of money. It's true what you're talking about.
Well,
during
120 years ago, though.
No, nothing. I think maybe the
You don't
closest.
think like J.P. Morgan and some
No.
of the, and the Rockefellers?
No, I don't think it's even remotely close.
I'd have to look and do a
I don't think it's even
comparison. I know
remotely
there were
close.
families back then, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. But the idea of people walking around with $60 billion, that's what I'm saying. They're like a dog talking. The way that they have the ability to live such a radically different life than the rest of us, like there are no borders for these people.
I think
they don't come in and go through customs. They fly in. I know this for a fact.
Yes, no.
I can't tell you how I know.
It's documented. It's documented.
Totally documented. Good sources.
No, you better tell us now.
I have a buddy who worked for a billionaire, and he
Hold
said
on,
to
I'm
me-
getting a text message right now. Make sure there's no camera angle on this.
He said to me, like he said you, and he's not obviously a left wing guy. He said to me, like you can't imagine, like nothing that applies to us. Nothing.
I mean, didn't Chris Rock even say that at one point? He's like, if people knew how people like me live, there'd be a revolution.
And I think for
he's just
billionaires,
a fucking millionaire.
He's just got like 50
Chris Rock
million.
doesn't have the ability
Right.
to call the president of a major university, dress them down, and have them do a 360 on any type of issue. Okay, and this is what this guy would do, like at 2:15 that day, and then I get something else at 2:30, and so they're living in such a rarefied way, and there is no other strategy for them to make money. Like you're saying, like if they find that this is failing, they're going to have to change what they do.
Not failing if they're finding that
It's costing
leading
them money.
to if there were the kind of political change like there was from the 20s when these guys were making that kind of money. Again, we'd have to do a comparison and we'd have to adjust. But when you had these multimillionaires being created, and multimillionaires in the 1920s was a pretty large amount of money.
Yes.
And where suddenly FDR came in and everything, was in their faces. Now, there's some people who in that situation walk away.
Yes. But the other ones who didn't are the ones who were still seeing the vestiges of what they did.
You're right.
And there's a lot
my
more.
point wasn't definitively. My point was that's a situation where I could see it happening.
Yeah.
That's all I've been saying. Whereas otherwise, no, I don't know how else it happens.
Don't you think that if a dog could talk, they would support Medicare for all?
All right.
Depends. Does that include veterinarians or not?
I don't know. It's possible.
My second thing is
I just got a hurry from our next guest.
Okay,
so.
but do you remember Gar Alpovitz?
Yes.
Remember
A few of his books.
Yeah, he said he was at some lecture and he said we haven't seen wealth accumulation like this and inequality since the medieval ages.
Yes.
And a medieval historian raised their hand and actually was like, well, that's incorrect because it did not. This exceeds the medieval age.
I think the disparity could have been there, but the thing is that there was no upside. Like there was no planes. Like so you could have all this money, but your life couldn't be so dramatically different because
that to me is a more legit even argument is to say that having that much more money, you can buy things today. It saves you time and effort in a way it couldn't back then.
We will look this up, but I would bet everything I own that the top 10 richest in this country today are significantly more wealthy relative
to the median.
In the median, or
that's
even
the comparison with
any average, even the 95th percentile, than they were back then.
So your percentile, you're saying?
I'm saying that, exactly. I'm saying that they're like talking dogs. Like we have never seen this before.
He likes analogy.
Well, I don't want to keep changing.
I love dogs.
Right, so we're going to take a quick break.
I'm holding up.
Oh wait, you know what? Oh, here, stay with us, Cliff. I'm just going to call it right now.
Sweet.
Dogs are great. They would totally want everybody to be taken care of.
Oh, our next guest loves dogs.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if that's true.
I'm glad this is happening.
Should we play the Jimmy Reefer Cake song?
I'm sure there's some really.
Oh, you know what? We're going to
insights
have her
in this
on.
song
Hold on.
About stuff.
I can think of some things that a dog, if extra money would help it do.
Okay, you got the phone up?
Yep.
All right, we're going to call her right now.
Lick yourself in some place.
Of course.
I'm just saying.
You needed to do it, huh?
Wait, hold on.
Judy, we're live.
Judy, we're live.
I know, but I got to put my headset in.
Okay.
Oh, is she listening?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Is this the famous Judy Gold?
Kill someone. Hold on.
Was she listening?
It's possible.
Am I right about that?
It's the famous
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Judy Gold theme song.
It would be great if she,
Tie
if
yellow
she went
ribbon
out
around
into
the old oak
stand-up
tree.
sets with this. That would be cool.
We're going to tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree.
Where does that
All right,
song
I'm here.
come from?
I'm here.
Well, it comes back from someone coming back from war, I think, actually.
Oh,
I think I hear her saying she's here.
Judy Gold,
I'm here.
welcome to the show. We have it's a total sausage fest here. Myself,
Just the way you
Matt,
like it.
Cliff, Michael.
Hey,
That's it
hey.
for now.
Hey, Judy.
Okay, that's fine.
How's your
That's
week
fine.
going, Judy?
Everything's great. Like Monday, like it all started out really, really well. I'm just think everything's going great in the country. I think that I just walked down the street. Everyone's so happy and helpful to one another, and they're such a good fucking asshole. I hate him so. I can't. Can I tell you something?
It's a good transition.
I can't. This is the worst. This is the worst week I've had. I can't with the Vegas shooting. Like, they should have a fucking. This is the wall they should build. A wall of dead bodies around fucking Wayne LaPierre's fucking house. Okay. Fucking
I'd like to be a
asshole.
part of building that wall.
It's horrible.
Well,
it's
not with
what happened.
the current.
Do you want to know why his slogan is "Make America Great Again"? Because that's what we're going to have to do after he fucking leaves.
Make America great again in 10 years.
You guys are
Yeah,
going to have a
he's
lot of work to do.
ruining it.
It's going to take a lot of teamwork.
Okay.
You got to break some eggs
okay, here's-
to make America great again.
I'm going to give you. Okay, shut the fuck up. I'm going to give you my bullet points of the Vegas shooting did me in. I mean, not like the families of the people who died, but like can't stop thinking about it. Can't stop hearing those shots. Okay. The fucking Steve Scalise, you fucking asshole. A lesbian got on top of your body, was going to take a bullet for you, and yet you're going to go speak to an anti-LGBTQ or STUVWXYZ group.
I know.
Okay?
May I just add a black lesbian, and you built your career on saying you're David Duke without the baggage as well.
Right. Yes. Okay.
I never had much sympathy for that guy. It's less now.
This Puerto
I hope
Rico,
he's in pain.
you fucking piece of crap. You throw fucking paper towels at people like they're fucking dogs waiting for a bone. You're a fucking asshole, okay? And how dare you with the San Juan mayor? She's begging and pleading, standing in water full of shit. And you're like, oh, it's fucking great. And fuck you. Fuck. I can't.
Are you at your therapist's office?
Are you at like
Where
a
are you?
deli?
No, I'm at my podcast. I just finished my podcast, and I'm just, it's like, the fact that how does he get away with this shit? Why isn't there one Republican, one, that says, okay, guys, we're done. This is fucking ridiculous, okay? Party smarty, okay? It's called the country.
This is who the Republicans
don't.
are. All right, I want to play this video for you.
Rex
Can we do
Tillerson,
it?
Go.
All
You're
right.
playing a video?
I want to.
that I
Well,
can't
it's
see?
it's an audio. It's an audio. It's not. It's the video
Okay.
is not as important as the audio.
Right.
And I just
Okay, go.
Is there anybody else in the studio with you right now, Judy?
Yes, and I'm telling them to shut up.
Well, no, I'm not concerned
Why?
about the noise. I just want there to be someone
Right.
there to if it's necessary to call the paramedics. This is Donald
Okay,
Trump
they're playing
last.
something for me, so shut up.
Well, it's not. It's,
Okay.
You don't even have to be
Fuck
quiet
you.
as much
Okay.
as like I just want there to be people around just in case.
Okay.
I like how you
They
treat
want
your
people
employees,
around me in
Judy.
case I fucking have a heart attack. Go ahead.
So last night, I don't know if you know this story,
Last night.
but the press was hastily brought in to this meeting, really this dinner that Donald Trump is having with military personnel. And listen to what he had to say now that he's arrayed all these military personnel
I don't know
around
if she
him.
can take this.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
don't know, maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm. We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint.
Fuck you!
Thank you, everybody.
See the look Melania gave him too.
Yeah, I read about this. You think I didn't know about this? The calm before the storm?
I mean,
now he's going to start a nuclear fucking war? He's going to start a fucking nuclear war because his penis is the fucking size of my fucking pinky nail?
Nail.
Fuck you.
Oh, I like that.
it is. I mean, it's amazing. Like, if there's either something big that's going to happen, or there's not.
Right.
In either scenario, it is psychotic. It is psychotic.
He is psychotic, and you don't say shit like that. You don't say shit like that. You just don't say it.
And the look on the military people around them, where it's like, this guy is just reveling in the idea that, and look, you know, I don't know if it's, they've already announced that they're, getting out of the Iran deal. Maybe he's going to fire, maybe he's going to fire Tillerson, and there's supposedly this suicide pact with Tillerson and Mattis, and maybe McMaster and Kelly, and maybe there's going to be a whole house cleaning.
That was a shitty movie the first time around.
Exactly. I mean, or
Mnuchin made it.
Or maybe they...
And Harvey Weinstein can do the movie.
To be fair, Obama did say stuff like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
this is a calm before the storm.
I think he said that the night that they killed Bin Laden.
Oh,
he was speaking
Calm before the storm. I see a lot of sad
remember
fake
when he
news
used to
people
come out
here.
and go, hey guys, you know what? This is a calm before the storm. I'm not telling you what I'm talking about.
But honestly, like,
are you talking about Iran, Mr. Obama? You'll see.
First of all,
You'll see.
and of course, there's no birth control. We can't even get to Obamacare and what he's done today to that.
Yeah.
But he is so provocative. A fucking infant. He's a fucking toddler out of fucking control with mental health issues that are destructive to other human beings, and he's got to get out, and someone's got to fucking stop this shit already.
Well, but here's the problem, okay? I mean, like, let's, I think for a while, the country went through this thing of like, okay, he's the benign, bumbling, horrible human being.
Right.
That,
He's sort of like the Chevy
he's
Chase
harmless.
character.
He's harmless.
And he's harmless because he's so stupid. But, at one point, the idea that we could reach some type of inflection point where it's like, okay, he says, we're going to launch an attack on North Korea.
Right.
Screw it. The guy's an asshole. We're just going to do it. Let's stop letting it hang around our heads or whatever. Now, one of two things happen. One, he does it, and it's horrific and causes millions of people to die.
Soul no longer exists.
Basically, America is the United States, continental United States. Fine. There's nothing they have that can reach us. Maybe they have some type of like sleeper cell where somebody comes. Maybe I don't know why.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
He's been dying. He has been dying. Remember when he had his first meeting and they said, "Oh my God, he asked 4 times about nuclear weapons." You know what? We're not playing Battleship, fuckhead.
Well, that's the thing is I don't think he has the ability. I mean, that was the thing about Puerto Rico that really sort of scared me is that if this guy is there on the ground and has so little self-awareness, not even self-awareness, situational awareness.
He's too dumb,
that he clearly cannot assess, what human suffering is, that he may not just may not mean to him what it does to a normal human being.
I think there's no doubt about that, but can I just say, not to be like a downer, but, Republicans intervening. Lindsey Graham said a month ago, we played it on the show, not only, arguably worse than Trump about North Korea.
Well, it's not Lindsey Graham, right?
Choreographed, if there's going to be an issue, we'll take care of it there. He said that publicly on Fox News.
Right.
And he's supposedly a quote-unquote sane guy. He's
Well,
been
and
working
Lindsey
to take
Graham-
away people's health
Lindsey
care.
Graham could definitely be one of those guys who are like, we're going to scare the hell out of him and this and that.
Right,
And
right,
I know there are people in the White House who will keep him from doing this.
Right.
So let's do the other scenario where there are people in the White House who will stop Trump from doing it. They will stop. It will stop Trump from doing it. Mr. President, I under Article 25 of the 25th Amendment of the Constitution, I hereby here's
I
Vice
thought you were going to Mr. President,
or
there's a
whatever,
hotel that will
there's
be
some type of
destroyed. and
military
sold.
coup that people sort of want. Like, what happens
owns it.
then? Like, is there some anticipation that John Kelly's going to step in and then who does he decide is going to be president then? Like, what happens in that scenario?
Right.
I mean, honestly,
Right.
Not gaming this out, there is no. The best we can hope for is that
Maybe they pull like a Yuri Andropov thing. Remember that guy was dead for a year and a half in Russia. Nobody knew who was leading.
I was just going to say
we should just lock Trump in a fucking room with no access to anything.
what we do with
Including food or water.
Like the fantasy for parents of toddlers is we just a lot of Benadryl. Just a lot of Benadryl. And maybe 2.5 years later, 3 years later, maybe we could just get to the 18 election.
Guys, I'm finally going to nuke it. I'm doing it. Mr.
just-
President, did you see the new ratings for Schwarzenegger on The Apprentice? Terrible. Oh my God, I have something else to do now.
Or it's
probably
more
what
just
you're
like,
doing all day.
Yeah,
here's a glass of milk. It's like, oh, I'm so sleepy. I
Can I
bomb them
ask
when
you
I
a
wake
question,
up.
please? Hello.
Yeah.
Here's my question. Why is it that Clinton gets a blowjob, okay? And he gets impeached over a fucking blowjob.
Rule of law.
And this fucking asshole continues his reign of terror. Like, how does this fucking happen?
Republican Party. Republican
Our system is
Party.
broken.
Period. End of. I mean, no, it's not. It's not. Our system is broken. The Republican Party was in power then, and they're in power now.
Right. I can't take. I'm fucking gonna lose my fucking mind. I can't. It's like every day I wake up wondering what the fuck the calm before the storm. Like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. And fuck that penis Pence. I hate him.
I mean, it's
No arguments there.
it's like the whole country is held
Sorry.
hostage. And let me reiterate, it is much worse. Talk about being held hostage. It's like we're held hostage on the basement. And then, if you're a dreamer, you're on the first floor and they've got the gun to your head and they're
Right,
yelling out at the
right,
cops.
right.
We're just down waiting to see if we're next, if we start hearing guns firing, essentially.
By we, do you mean Jews?
Right.
No, I mean just frankly, the white guys here in this office will be we're down in the basement, then the back storeroom, and then actually we're
Right.
in the sort of the
Yeah, we're doing okay.
we're in the green room.
I mean, to be honest
We're in
with
the
you,
green
frankly,
room.
it's pretty good
The green room behind
content-wise.
the storage room, behind the thing. We're not on stage.
You know what I did think was sort of more kind of funny in a sick way was if you took the most charitable interpretation of Trump, which I never do, which is that he's doing what he's doing it himself. Like, I'll be a crazy guy on Twitter. That's Nixon, right? Like some that idea got planted in his head. And then he did that leak to Politico a week ago where it's like everybody in his staff being like, he wants to be seen as crazy. It was just like, great.
Well,
Like,
here's
I think
the thing.
Koreans
Here-
have
can I-
the capacity to read articles in Politico.
They can pull up Politico.
It was
on
like,
Google,
right.
Probably. Yeah.
And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who has family in Japan. And he's like, they are scared of us.
Wouldn't you
Not
be?
North Korea, man.
Right.
Like that.
Can you imagine?
We're the ones who will disrupt that balance.
How many
Of
millions of people
course.
live in Seoul? Like 10? I don't know. Can
And,
you imagine
you know-
living in Seoul right now?
You go back, we had Heather Hurlbert on this show in January, I think it was, maybe in lead up. And after that conversation, when she was talking about foreign policy, I think the end of it was just the issue is really not that the world is unpredictable now. The issue is that we're not predictable. And that's a much
Right.
greater danger. And it's true.
But it's the way they normalize him. Like, even Tillerson with his bullshit. I've learned from this president that he cares a lot about. No, you haven't. No, you
That's a
haven't
great
learned
Tillerson.
that. Okay.
That is-
I'll
could
tell
you
what
do
I
that
know
more?
about this guy.
Wait, do more.
I'll tell you what I know about him. I'll tell you what I know about him.
Yeah, what do you know about him?
He loves his country. He wants things done. He gets it. No, you don't. You're a fucking liar. He's a fucking idiot. He doesn't love this country. He loves his fucking bank account. He's a fucking asshole.
In fact, there was a story in the Washington Post. The story in the Washington Post that said that one of the problems the president had was that Tillerson went around thinking that his job was to make the United States look good instead of making Donald Trump look good.
This guy totally doesn't get the job. It's amazing.
You're my secretary. Hello.
But they also...
You're my secretary. You're supposed to make me coffee and do things for me. Get things done.
It's like, you remember Anne at the old office? She knew what... Imagine if her job was to help Manhattan real estate instead of me. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
What I've learned from this man, I'll tell you what I learned from him. I'll tell you what I learned. I learned he has a small penis. I learned that
wants to have
he
sex
loves
with his
small
daughter.
penis. And when he wants something done, he gets it done. He is a man who loves this country, loves it. Fuck you! You're fucking shut the fuck up! And of course he says, they're like, did you call him a moron? I'm not going to get into that petty stuff. I'm not going to get. Of course I did. Of course I called him a moron. He is a moron. Okay? And that's what I learned. I got to go back. I got to go take my hair, and I got to comb it back. I got to go comb my hair back.
Called him a fucking moron, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that
moron.
Can't say no.
I mean, this guy is sick. Why isn't the 25th Amendment? Why?
Well, because they think they can get tax cuts.
Deregulation. That too.
Yeah. Well, they'll get deregulation. Well, they'll get deregulation with Pence, right? It's just like if they get rid of Trump, it's just going to screw things up too much. It's going to start a process that's going to be too long to unwind.
Right. And it will
quickly.
still piss off that 35% that is in his
and
cult.
then crazy Gorsuch judges too.
The Republican base.
Oh, he's horrible. He gave a speech at the Trump. Wait, Michelle Wilkerson just tweeted that her 84-year-old mother is in the car and they're listening, and she said I had a potty mouth. Sorry, Miss Michelle's mother. I just get very, I'm from New Jersey, and I get very passionate, and I start cursing.
Yes.
Anyway, but listen, Mueller has got stuff on penis head. Pence, penis head. They're all horrible. I mean, this Mueller stuff is taking a little too long, even though I'm sure it's very accurate and thorough. But what's going to happen when that comes out? The Republicans are going to say, well, I don't think this is impeachable.
Yes.
Okay. We got. I can't. We got. There's this. It's. We're not. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
What happens to the country? Let me ask you this.
I can't believe it.
What happens after we go through this? I mean, this has been now 9 months of this, 10 months. What happens?
Right.
Give the full count, man. Don't take a month
10
off.
months.
Jeez.
10 months.
Okay.
And we have, I mean, assuming, he's alive or we're all alive. And I think either way, we have another, let's see, 48 months. We have another 38 months of this. What happens to the country? Like the
First of all, what are we at here? We're at 9 months?
10, well, we had 9.5 months, really. It was January 20th.
10 months. Let's just say that, please.
Look, okay.
Too late to abort him.
I mean, look at what has happened to our standing in the world. Look how many people he has pissed off. Look at the crap he has said about Gold Star family. Like, how is anyone else would be out of a fucking job? Anyone else behave like this in any other job, they'd be fired. They'd be fucking fired. Why is he still here? Why? Go.
Republicans. I mean, honestly.
How does he get away with this? Where is the one Republican? Where is he or she to say, look, this is ridiculous. It's I don't care that I'm a Republican. I mean, they're all. How about having they're all like, oh, a lot of them are abandoning him and blah 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 blah. No, they're not.
Well, first off, like even the ones who are resigning are like, I've got to have a job afterwards. You don't want to, I'm not going to go too far out.
Brother's got to eat. I need
Trump,
$500,000 lobbying.
MSNBC doesn't have any more contributor slots, so I've got to figure out something else to do with lobbying.
Trump at ground zero of the nuclear holocaust, like great turnout. It's been quite an event, and I think many people would say, in a certain sense, that this was unprecedented.
I managed to outlive over 3/4 of the world.
A lot of people were trying to live. They
said,
did not live as long as I did, and I thought I did a great job.
You're not healthy. You don't eat a healthy way. But look, I've outlived most people.
I think that is, if we're just trying to like even just be sort of like actuarial or scientific here, like a rage spasm and a fast food meal might be the saving grace of a civilization that is in like late.
Really
I'm listening to
to
History of Rome podcast now. I just started it, and it's like,
is it good?
It's really good, and analogies can get shaky, but like we're just doing that. Like in some ways, like we're just doing that.
Let me tell you what I've learned. Right now from this. Okay. I've learned that you all love the country, that you all have 6 senses of humor. I've learned that when you want to talk about a topic on your show, you'll talk about it. I've learned that, and I don't get into petty things. I'm not petty. I'm not Tom Petty.
Oh, God.
Can I just say something?
One more sad thing. Yeah.
That they all go in to his office or whatever and are like, okay, they have like a meeting before they go in, like, okay, you just don't say anything. You say this, you say that, and then let's leave. That's how they I'm sure they have meetings like, all right, we have to tell him blank, blank, and blank. Just ignore him. And then, it's like when you go and visit, like, your mother, your elderly mother or something, and it's like, don't bring this up, don't bring that up. That's like, he doesn't read. They go in, they tell him what's going on. He doesn't listen to any of the facts. Like, he's destroying this country. Anyone who fucking defends him is out of their fucking minds. So
I shouldn't add fuel to the fire, but did you see did you see the? I mean, I'm sure you saw the throwing paper towels at people in Puerto Rico, which actually
started.
You started that. You mentioned that,
like,
right?
He's out
but
of
did
fucking.
you?
It's like those fucking cheerleaders at the fucking.
It was
like,
sending the T-shirts into the stand.
Yes, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
But did you see the? He had a brief exchange with a woman. He was handing out a water filtration system, and he's like,
iodine pill.
Did you see that iodine pill? Right, excuse me. Did you see that? And he's like, and then you put it in the dirty water and you drink it. And she's like, yeah. And he kind of looks at her like, okay, that's weird.
Would you drink it?
Would you drink it? It was. I mean, I don't know why that struck me so much, but it was fucked up.
Because he's so stupid. He's so you drink the fucking water. How about doing that in Flint, you fucking fat ass? And also, can I say something? What about when he said to them, "Have a good time"? Are you fucking mental? Have a good time?
I think tourism and Seoul is going to skyrocket
about?
after we do this. Have a good time.
Have a good time. He says that to people of Puerto Rico. Have a good time.
That's what Obama said after
you.
the BP spill.
Enjoy it.
Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. Everybody in Jersey after Sandy having a good time. Great crowds, am I right? The failing New York Times won't report that.
Look at
You know what's fucked up is Obama.
Ashes in South Korea.
You know
Hope
what's so fucked up is Obama actually could have legitimately been like, well, that's Fox. That's fake news. Like, yes.
Well, they did actually start out a little bit like that. A little bit at the beginning of their...
But he also has said, and that Fox and Friends is the best morning show. even if you're the weightiest right-wing Republican, you know that that's not the best fucking morning talk show, okay? Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Who's your favorite of those three?
Sorry. I can't. The paper towels, that, and the way he was throwing it. Did you see how he was throwing it? Like he's like knows how to fucking play basketball.
Yeah.
He's throwing it like tossing it like, hey, yeah. Oh, I'm so cool. Like, they're human beings without fucking homes, you fucking asshole.
I know, and I
about
gave
the
them
debt?
towels.
And what about how he's blaming them?
Never get credit.
You didn't
Never
pay
get
for
credit.
fucking golf
Never
course.
get
You
credit.
fucking show your taxes.
Maybe I won't tell you that.
Fucking.
Oh, look, she's
Homeless.
an 8.5. Give her 2 paper towels.
There's a hot human.
I want to know, were the paper towels the kind that you do the half a paper towel? You know what I mean? You know, sometimes you do.
And what do people use these for? The towels? What do they use
Were
them
they
for?
pick-a-size paper towels?
Fold them over; they last longer.
What do they do? What do they use these for? Why am I giving these out? Whatever. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Do Puerto Rican people even use bathrooms? My dad had a lot of ideas about Puerto Ricans. Anyways, there's something called budget.
What a prick.
How's everything else, though?
All right. I'm just shut the fuck up. I was really 2 days of like I can't. You know, the Las Vegas thing.
I know. I
it's
mean,
so upsetting.
it's
so upsetting. You know, and the now's not the time to talk about it. Shut your fucking mouth, okay? It's exactly that. It should be. We should be talking about it and talking about it. You killed little kids who went to fucking school and you did nothing, okay? Fuck you.
I don't think it's the right time to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on. Wait. We got something.
Did something just
I'm just going to tell you something right now. I'm going to just tell you something right now what I've learned from this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matt is.
Wait, can you actually do the reenactment of Tillerson actually calling him a fucking moron?
Okay, ready?
Yes, please.
All right, so you have to say, did you hear
the president,
Boy Scout speech?
Did you watch the Boy Scout speech, Mr. Secretary?
I watched it. He's a fucking moron. Let me tell you something. I was head of the Boy Scouts. This guy's a fucking moron. Okay, I was a Boy Scout. I'm a Boy Scout. I was head of the Boy Scouts. He is. Can I say it again? He's a fucking moron. He's a fucking moron. I got this fucking job. I loved being head of ExxonMobil. That was that's what I'm meant to be. This guy's a fucking moron.
You know, and there's a great.
Here's Trump. What is this, Matt?
He says Puerto Rico with an affected accent.
Oh, here's.
All right, I have to hang up in a minute. Go
okay,
ahead.
all right. Here's Trump trying to pronounce Puerto Rico as if he has some affinity for Puerto Rico. Here he is.
We are also praying for the people of Puerto Rico.
Oh.
We love Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. And we also love Puerto Rico.
Jesus Christ. He's sick. He's demented, right? Like, I mean, this is it. This is like,
Puerto Rico. He can't even fucking.
It's hilarious
you.
when you say it with the accent and they're drowning.
honestly, the
Speedy Gonzalez, not from Puerto Rico. A lot of people think he was, but he was from, well, in fact, he was from Mexico, and he crossed the
Can
border
you imagine
illegally.
what goes through Melania Trump's mind? I mean, I would just like,
Not have sympathy for her.
Oh no, I'm not having sympathy for her.
Okay.
I'm just wondering, like, what if she sits there and just like, how many times a day does she sort of contemplate, like, what did I miss my opportunity?
I think she
to put
honestly was like,
coolant
this
in
was the
his
time
Jell-O?
that I was
Right.
planning on divorcing him, and I did not anticipate
Right.
This
that.
is-
But I wonder.
She stands there. Okay, first of all, she has her pants up to her tits. Literally, it's like
Aren't those tit pants?
like-
that they.
Those are big these days.
they're tit pants. They're called tit pants. But
Called tete pants in Puerto
there
Rico.
and just follow. And what about when he introduced her? Remember, I want to introduce my wife, And then he shakes her hand.
Yeah.
But you know, he's I can't. What?
She won't let me touch. She won't let my mouth touch her body now. So.
Remember when
But I
Obama was
honestly-
just like,
I just
"Where the
wonder-
fuck's Michelle?"
I
Oh,
wonder,
there you
like,
are.
If it is the
Give me a
case,
handshake.
if it is the case that Melania thought like this is the time I would divorce him, and now it's quite possible she loves him and that he really fulfills her.
No, it's not possible. It's not possible. That's not
no,
possible.
look, anything's
She does
possible.
not love him. No one loves him.
But it's also possible that she finds him odious and distasteful and is forced to
Disgusting
be
and grotesque.
and forced to be around him. Like you wonder what like fantasies, I don't mean like, sexual fantasies, like what goes through her mind as she's just looking at him, forced to be in such close proximity to someone that you could hate. I mean, it's conceivable that every potential weapon, every possible way that one could perish,
Maybe that's how
it
we
just
get
goes
rescued.
through
Medieval
her mind.
gauntlets.
Like today, I'm only going to think of potential ways that one could die that start with the letter R, and that's all it goes
No,
through.
I don't think she wants to die. I think she wants to kill him.
Well, that's what I'm
I think that's what he's
That's
implying. That's what he's
what I'm
implying.
That's what I'm implying. But I don't want
okay.
to get.
Sorry,
I'm just saying that.
Yeah. You don't want to get in trouble?
Like she
Okay,
could be
but that's fine. I'll get in trouble.
rototiller.
Go ahead.
Like how would it happen if a rototiller was involved? How would it happen if it was a rug? How would it happen with a wrench?
I
If
feel
she
like
doesn't
a
know that it
lot
starts
of
with a
things
W.
could happen with this particular group of people because a lot of them are quite mentally off. And if there was going to be like some type of office rage incident, this would be the White House where it would happen.
Rancid cheese, like all the different ways that one could possibly. Rat poison.
All right.
Gotta pull out one of those like that's. Isn't
There's
that how
got to
Warren Harding
be.
died?
He's got to choke on something. It's got to be like.
That's what they say.
I don't know. I just, it's. All right. I gotta go.
All right.
I can't. I'm so upset now.
Well, Judy,
But it's fine.
I
I'm
was
gonna go
hoping
ride
this,
my bike.
I hope.
Let
I
me
was,
tell you something.
I was hoping this was going to be as
What?
cathartic
Go ahead.
for you as I know that it has been for a lot of people listening.
It was very cathartic. I don't know how much longer we all can take of this shit. And these, does anyone have any integrity? Like, even I can't. Rex Tillerson, even have to say, he bullied him into saying, I want to stop this before it starts, okay? Let me tell you something. None of this happened. No, it didn't happen. I'm going to stop it right now because I got a call from him. He was screaming, and I got to do it. I got to go. I got to go. I got to run. I got to run. I got to run. Okay. Anyway, I
Judy,
have to pee, and
Judy, we love you. Thank you so much for
this
coming
was
on.
good. This was good. I
You're the
feel good. I
best.
feel like I got a lot of shit out.
Yes. Well, I'm sure.
I miss you guys.
Sure, he will.
Why can't I come
watch.
into the studio?
Of course you
Come
can.
into the studio.
Judy, you can
that's
come into
what
the
I want.
studio
Can I come in
any
next time?
day of the week.
Okay, I'm in. Oh. Oh my God! And they're all white men. They're all white men. Look at his cabinet. All white men, except for Ben, whatever fucking asshole.
I'm doing a really good job,
That's okay.
Judy. I have a health supplement that could turn you straight if you're interested.
All right, listen. I love you.
Love you too.
Please
Hang in
let
there.
us be alive next week.
More importantly, I think
I'm going to the
let there
bathroom.
be
Yeah.
the Korean people.
Let her go to
Right.
the bathroom, man.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye,
Judy.
All right, I love you all.
Judy
Bye.
Gold, ladies and
God bless
gentlemen.
America. Bye-bye.
Judy Gold. Judy. Oh, we could have had Milo sing "God Bless America."
Oh God, this is turning into a real brutal Friday, man. Jesus Christ, we're in the void.
Here is just briefly, and then we'll go to Jimmy Reefer Cake, and then we'll take it to the fun half. For those who are concerned that the president really does believe something is the calm before the storm, that there is a storm coming, you will be somewhat relieved to know that, according to Jonathan Swan, who was on MSNBC, Jonathan Swan works for Axios, you'll be somewhat relieved to know that the president is just a psychopath and that there is really nothing planned.
How do you interpret the calm before the storm? I mean, clearly this is part of the president's love for drama and reality TV. I mean, primetime TV, straight out of The Apprentice. Tune in tomorrow.
Well, obviously, I don't have any insight into what classified military actions may or may not be being contemplated, but I think there's a high degree of probability that he is trolling everyone. And in fact, I was talking to a senior official last night, somebody who I should stress is not on the NSC, who would not be privy to any covert operations, and they started laughing, saying, "Don't you get it? He's just trolling all of you." But of course, it's trolling with very serious consequences.
Well, the amazing thing about this is that, let's just for the moment assume this person who probably wouldn't know is right. There's a mentality in the administration that comes from the rotten fish or fish head that, like,
Fish rats from the top.
They're just playing with the press. Like, there's no American public that when they do this stuff with Dreamers, there's no actual people on the other end.
Right.
When they go out there and complain about Puerto Rico, when he complains that Puerto Rico is not grateful enough, that he's not actually talking about 1.5 million Americans who are without drinking water. Now, let me just put an asterisk next to that. We don't know at this point. That was the last figure we had, because FEMA has now decided to stop reporting on how many people in Puerto Rico are without electricity or without water. They've scrubbed it from their website, and they're not doing it. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. But can I say something here? Here's the thing. I know he's trolling us because that's all he ever fucking does. I mean, the thing is that people try to, I mean, I love people try to analyze and say, oh my God, he must have this plan or that plan. This guy never thinks more than 5 seconds ahead of time. He really doesn't, and he probably thought, "Oh my God, this is a cool thing to say," and it popped in his head, and he just.
I don't know. They brought the press in when they weren't initially going to do it. A, B. He's not trolling us. He thinks he's trolling the media. Like there's no.
Sam, you're the media, man.
Well, okay, but he thinks he's trolling the media, not that the American public is whatever. Like it doesn't matter that your president's saying like. I might bomb. I might not bomb.
I'm just saying he's proven to always be completely full of crap on everything, and he doesn't think ahead of time. He just spurts stuff out. So that to me is what it doesn't mean we won't actually bomb North Korea at some point. I don't believe that there was anything behind that statement other than his being the usual moron that he is.
I hope you're right. All right. With that said, we have a song from Jimmy Reefer Cake. What is the name of the Jimmy Reefer Cake song of the day?
They Don't Know How It Feels. R.I.P. Tom Petty.
All right. So it's a Tom Petty one. And then we'll come out of it, and then we'll just go into the fun half. I should just tell you, this program relies on its members for its existence. If you have the financial means and you want the extra content, even if you don't want the extra content, become a member today. Go to jointhemajority.report.com. Your support is what makes this show possible. JustCoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Also, Majority Report kickback.com. If you buy your stuff through Amazon or jet.com, do it there through our links. We get a kickback. Don't forget TMBS episode this week. ContraPoint is on it. You can find it on YouTube or on your iTunes. Also, Unprecedented Podcast. Find it on YouTube or on iTunes or at Unprecedented or Patreon.
Yeah, well, that's the other one. www.patreon.com/Unprecedented Podcast.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, but first, the Jimmy Reefer Cake Song of the Week. It is an homage, I think, to Tom Petty, who passed away this week.
Oh, Las Vegas news made me cry, and the next day Tom Petty died. Look at Trump, he talking so foul. Look at Trump throwing paper towels. So let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. Trumpy tweets in the night. Starts another distracting fight. Trump don't know how it feels. Oh, Trump don't know how it feels to be Puerto Rican. To be Puerto Rican. Yeah. Obama came, how Obama had to go. Obama was young and Trumpy is old. Fox News geezer. Hillary had her fun, but all we can say now is Bernie would have won. Bernie would have won. Bernie would have won. Bernie would have won. Let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint. The Republicans are talking loud, and the NRA is still proud. They don't know how it feels. No, they don't know how it feels to be you or me. Yeah. To be you or me, or Puerto Rican or Korean or anybody.
Jimmy Reefer Cake, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Reefer Cake. Quite the homage to...
He was also on your theme of they don't know how it feels.
That's true. The lack of empathy. There's a lot there. I may have to go back and re-listen to that one to absorb it all.
It's a very genuine
All right.
Tom Petty fan right there.
Yeah. Tom Petty was great.
It was pretty awesome, yeah.
I think rather underrated, to be honest with you. I mean, he's well-rated, but he's underrated. Fairly unique place, I think, in American rock. All right, folks, see you in the fun half.